first of all, thanks for your time, President. It's a pleasure. And we know that Euratex's role in Europe has grown significantly over the last years.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here. And I'd like to congratulate the organization for the magnificent role that you are doing to join all the industry here. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize the great job that one of yours, Alberto Pacanelli, has done as president in the last 6 years. So a great applause to Alberto. Alberto, please raise. Please raise, Alberto. Yeah, you deserve it. You have done a great job being president of Euratex. So.
All right. So a great job, but also great challenges for the industry looking at what's happening in Europe. First of all, what's the mood of the industry at a European level? What do you feel is happening?
Well, I don't have to say to this audience what is the mood of the industry. They live it every day. As we all know that we are facing a big challenge, and this is connected with the industry. In terms of the industry, if you are producing in Europe, the cost of the energy, the cost of the regulation. So we are facing in Europe not easy times to be industry in Europe. Our mood is, I would say, we are resilient. We continue to invest. We continue to innovate. We continue to believe in our industry. But I have to share also that I feel frustrated because we are doing all this effort and we don't see from the policymakers acting as we are doing in our industry.
What do you expect from policymakers today?
Yeah, one very simple thing, they should act with what's happening now with these ultra-fast fashion companies like Shein and Temu. We are allowing these companies to send to Europe goods, and the European Commission is saying to the European consumers, if you buy directly to these platforms, we give you a 12% discount on tariffs. How can that be? How can European Commission say to European consumers, buy on that platforms outside of Europe, and you have a discount of 12% on tariffs? That's unacceptable. They don't change that because it's too slow for them to react and make this kind of change. And this is only one point from the connecting with these ultra-fast fashion platforms, because the European Court of Accounting, so it's an European organization, they have made an audit to the VAT declarations of some of these companies, and they have found that there is fiscal fraud of hundreds of millions of euros. So we accept that these companies, they do fiscal fraud with VAT. If it is one of us doing fiscal fraud, we'll be in jail. And we know that's happening, and they don't do nothing against fiscal fraud. So it's unbelievable what's happening in terms of the way that the European Commission behaves. And we know also other points, that we know these companies they don't respect intellectual property. We all invest a huge amount of money in creativity, in innovation. And then we see our designs, our products being by someone, now by AI, by artificial intelligence, doing copycats of our products, and there is no respect for the intellectual property. This is something that we cannot continue to accept. Europe must defend our culture, our know-how, our designs, our brands. We cannot continue to accept this position from the European Commission.
What when it comes to sustainability? Let's take emissions levels, for example. How's the level that is expected from European companies and companies that export here?
Yeah, there are some interesting numbers. According to Venice Sustainability Report, the numbers they say, so I'm talking about their numbers, is they have emitted in 26 million tons of CO2 for the production. Only 8 million were to transport. And let's compare with another report from Inditex, and Inditex, they say they have emitted 16 million tons of CO2. And Inditex is a company that sells even more than Shein. So when you put these numbers per million of euros sold, Shein uses around 700 kilograms of CO2 per million euros. And Inditex uses around 300 kilograms of CO2 per million euros sold. So it's roughly half. So in a certain way, we are importing CO2 and exporting jobs from Europe. So this cannot continue. We cannot accept this situation.
Well, Euratex has a first sight on the process of European regulation. What do you think is in store? What can companies expect from the EU?
Yeah, just let me finish the situation about the numbers of Shein. The 26 million tons of CO2 emissions, it's equivalent to the capture of all the trees in Italy in 1 year. So all the trees in Italy that you see around you are absorbing during the one year the emissions of only one company, according to the Shein report. So
that's
when you look to a tree,
yeah,
you see this tree is working all the year to absorb the CO2 emissions from Shein. So this is the kind of problem that we are talking about.
Absolutely. So yeah, you mentioned a couple of names, or the ultra fashion, fast fashion, which is clearly top of mind of all the industry when it comes to competition, and also how to make a playing level field of play. But at the same time, I was telling you, how's Europe moving and on these challenges? What do you expect and what's in store?
Europe is moving. Now there is a new directive. It's called RED III, that till 2030, 42.5% of energy must come from renewables in Europe. Again, Europe is very fast in implementing and creating obligations for the European companies, with giving us, Europeans, industry and producers, we have to comply with more and more rules. This is what Brussels is doing. And these rules, they are in the right direction. We are not against protect the environment. This is the direction, no doubt about that. But we cannot have a clean Europe in a dirty world. So everything that is coming to Europe must comply with same rules, because then we don't have a level, we have to level the playing field. We cannot continue to see companies being destroyed because we have unfair competition. And this is the key point. And we have not talked, but this is connected with the cost of energy. The cost of electricity, I was talking with Alberto during the morning, is paying in his company, is paying around 17 cents per kilowatt. In Portugal, the average is around 14 cents per kilowatt. And natural gas in Europe costs around 30 euros per megawatt. That's the double and the triple that other areas in the world are paying. So we have a huge cost of energy in Europe. I have to make here a disclaimer. My company is a big company. I have more than 250 workers. So I'm on the finishing, I have dyeing and printing. So what I'm saying here is also going to benefit my company. So I have to make this disclaimer that also I'm working on behalf of my company when I'm defending that.
Well, President Machado, what are you doing for the industry and for yourself, as we understand?
Yeah.
What is Euratex doing?
Euratex, we have many meetings in Brussels. We have meetings with director generals. We have meetings with commissioners. We are now asking meeting with Ms. Ursula von der Leyen. But we have meetings with members of Parliament. And from the members of the Parliament, I have to recognize that now we have built members of the Parliament, Friends of Textiles. So we have already built a network of members of the Parliament, some Italian, some French, some Portuguese, some Spanish. So we are building a network of members of the Parliament that are friends of the textile industry. And this is what we do. This is very important, to have these meetings in Brussels explaining to the different director generals, to the commissioners, how important this industry is. It's a key role for all of us, because without that, we are going to face many more difficulties. I can share my story with the meeting that I had with Šefčovič, the commissioner. It was in June, so it was during the negotiations for the tariff wars with the United States. And I explained him the size of the industry in Europe. We are 1,300,000 workers, 200,000 companies, around 160 billion of turnover. And in the end, he told me, be loud. And it's the great job that today, the vision and what you are presenting, and the last slide that you presented is on be loud. This is a key role that the associations must have in Brussels and in national governments. So again, thank you for organizing this event, because we need to be loud. If we are not loud in Brussels, if we are not loud in Rome, in Berlin, in Paris, in Madrid, in Lisbon, then things are going to change, not according what industry needs, but will work against us. And this is a critical point for all the associations, all the organizations.
May I ask you, what was Commissioner Šefčovič's reaction to this? Is Europe listening?
Yes, he was listening, and he told me one point that I was very surprised. He told me that it was before he was involved in energy, and I told him about energy. In Europe, the energy is too expensive. And he told me, but I have difficulties to explain to other commissioners how the cost of energy is important to industry. I have to tell you, I was amazed. How is that possible? How the other commissioners do not understand that the cost of the energy is not a luxury for the industry. It's the blood in our veins is the energy cost. So without blood, we cannot work. So it was the connection between the policymakers and the reality that we are facing. It's quite distant. They are in a bubble. They really are in a bubble. And we need to punch that bubble for them to face the reality.
This is a very clear statement, but I want to ask you also, so looking ahead, looking 2026, and basically on one hand, what's the outlook for the industry given the challenges that you mentioned, but also what's your top priority in the Euratex agenda? What will be, the main point you're going to dedicate yourself and the organization?
We have a kind of 3 C's. That is, first is competitiveness. We need to be competitive. So the first C is for defend. We are the voice of the industry to defend our competitiveness. This is a key point, because if we are not competitive, if consumers don't see us as competitive, then the consumers are voting when they are purchasing, and so we need to be competitive. Then we have the other very important point, that is the communication. We need to be loud. We need to communicate. Because if we don't communicate what we are doing, a European consumer or a consumer around the world needs to know that the products are made in Italy, they are made in Europe, and they are made in a sustainable way. We need to communicate that. We need to be able to communicate and be proud. We make wonderful products. Everyone in the world is proud when he's wearing a product that is made in Italy. So we have these intangible values with all the history that we have, with all knowledge that we have. So we must And because we have it, and consumers must know it. And so we must work with policymakers for them to know how important this industry is in Europe. And the other C is about communication. Communication is what I was saying. The last C is about cooperation. Cooperation has to do with industry and brands. There is no European brands without European industry. So the European brands and European industry must work together, and we must work together with policymakers. Pascal is there, we are working together. Pierre François is also there. We are working together between industry and brands. Because if we don't work together, we are going to lose. It's going to be a lose-lose when it can be a win-win. And we must involve the European consumers, and we must involve policymakers. So this kind of cooperation and coordination is a main role that we have to have, and we are having it in Euratex. So if we are able to communicate more and coordinate more, then we are going to be able to have policies that make possible for this industry to be competitive. And let me just, one example that I give quite a lot to policymakers. They are not so happy with it, but I normally do explain to them that what impacts more in the economy are the political decisions, not the workers or the entrepreneurs. And I give them the example of China. China, with a kind of policy from Mao Zedong, that was something that was designed with a certain ideological idea. It was a country with hundreds of millions of people in poverty. Then came Deng Xiaoping with same people, same language, same geographic position, because they have not moved to China near the US. Everything the same, the policymaker changed the idea. It's not bad to be rich. What is important is that the cat can get the mouse. It doesn't matter if the cat is white or black. So this is the kind of pragmatism that policymakers need to have. Then I tell them, it's your policies that are going to make Europe to thrive, or is going to make Europe to lose in terms of influence in the world. And we are seeing that. Europe is losing the influence in the world. And this is due to the policies that are designed in Europe. We cannot continue to try to go alone in a certain direction without protecting and without enforcing the others, that if they want to sell in Europe, they must comply with same rules as the European producers needs to comply. And that must be a must to level the playing field.
Very clear message. Thank you so much, President Mario Jorge Machado, the President of Euratex. Thanks so much.